Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be comparing a 2022 Ford F-150 XLT to a 2022 Chevy 1500 RST, the newly redesigned Chevy 1500 if you guys are wondering. Now these two trucks are pretty comparable from a price point perspective and an option perspective, so this is going to be a pretty fun video. I do want to mention a couple things before we get into the video. So first off, a shout out and thank you to the Ford Lincoln in Provo and then the Chevy in Provo for providing me with both of these trucks for the original reviews to then use in this comparison. I'll include a link to their inventories in the description down below. And then on a side note, my car buying course is available for sale. So if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to that in the description down below as well. Let's get into the review. Starting things off under the hood of the F-150, we have a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 400 horsepower and then 500 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is going to be a little bit better on the F-150 compared to the Silverado. And so, yeah, that's under the hood there. Now, popping over to the Silverado, we have a naturally aspirated 5.3-liter V8. It also goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 355 horsepower and then 383 pound-feet of torque. And like I said, fuel economy is going to be a little bit less here with the Silverado compared to the F-150 when you're just driving around town, at least. We'll talk about towing in a second. Now, going to the front end of the F-150, this one has the Sport Package. That's why I picked this one out, because I feel like it's most comparable to the RST on the Silverado, and they're both white, so that kind of helps out as well. But you got the signature F-150 hood that's got like the wave type design, and then you can see here with the LED accent lights that are wrapped around those reflector lights, and then notice with the fog light and then the LED accent light down there, parking sensors on the front end with the body painted front bumper. And then you can see here with the front grille how that's kind of darker in coloration to contrast all the white on this particular truck. And yeah, I think it looks great from a front end perspective. And there's same package, but finished in chrome instead of with the Sport Package. Anyways, popping over to the Silverado with the RST package, you can see very similar theme. So first off with the hood, a little bit different from a design standpoint. It's kind of got like a larger, more muscular appearance, whereas the F-150 is kind of sportier looking, if that makes sense. Popping down below, I've got the projector bulbs with the LED accent light, and then you've got all of the accenting kind of like off the side of that. And yeah, I think it looks, again, great from an aesthetic perspective with what Chevy's done with the accenting. Some people said they didn't like this new look. I can tell you in person, it looks better than videos and pictures with the lights, especially the headlights. And then notice here, body painted with a lot of elements and then blacked out with other elements again, because it's kind of like a sportier package with the Silverado. If you like chrome, then just get a regular Silverado LT. And then with the XLT Ford, just get an XLT, don't get the Sport Package, basically, if you, again, like chrome. So, popping back over to the Ford, this one has the FX4 package. So you've got 18-inch wheels and you've got all-terrain tires wrapped around those, so you can see just how aggressive those are. Definitely a solid setup, especially if you live in a place that snows a lot. It's definitely a good package to get, and if you want to do, you know, fun camping trips and everything. And then notice the center portion of the wheel is darker, and then you've got the silver there on the top, and so it kind of has that off-roader type appearance with the wheel. Now it's got our F-150 XLT venting badge thing there. And then this also has the off-road type side steps. And then you can see here with the full side view of the Sport, definitely looks great from an aesthetic perspective. And then still utilizes the leaf springs on the back, and then you can see the shock as well there for the rear. Now popping over here to the Silverado, this one's got the Z71 package. So again, we've got all-terrain tires and everything. And this wheel doesn't look as off-roady as the Ford wheel. It still looks really good. It kind of has like a sportier theme to it in terms of the look and design. But again, you can see just how aggressive the tires are. And then a quick look at the front suspension as well. So again, these trucks are as close as it gets. Got the Z71 badge, and then you can see there with the darker portion on the mirror. And then body painted door handles. Notice it does have keyless entry there for the front. No side steps on this particular truck, and really like the side profile on the Silverado. I think that's one of its strongest angles, is just the side profile, just because of the lines and the shape of the truck. And still got leaf springs with the Silverado, just like the F-150, and then you guys can see there with the shock absorber there in the rear. Now here's a key fob for the F-150. Notice the main functions, right? Tailgate drop down, remote start, very important. And this particular truck doesn't have a bed liner, but it's like a $600 option roughly on the Fords. Well, $575 to be exact. LED lights, you notice got the outlet situation there. And then you can see the cargo light there at the top. Now from payload capacity perspective, we'll talk about payloads here and then we'll talk about towing when we're over at the Silverado. They're actually very similar, the F-150 and the Silverado with both these packages. So super similar from a payload capacity perspective. You're higher teens basically with both trucks roughly. And then you can see the taillights that come with the XLT, and they got the sport badge there off to the side, and then the singular exhaust tip, and then body painted bumper down below with the parking sensors, and then the receiver hitch as well. And this, again, like I said, this is the EcoBoost. You can get several other engine options, though. Like you can get the 5.0 if you want, or the 2.7, which 2.7 is also technically an EcoBoost engine. Now here's a key fob for the Chevy. You notice functionality is the same with the tailgate drop down, the remote start as well. And notice this one has a bed liner in it, definitely a big plus. So I guess we'll talk about towing capacity while we're going over the elements here in the bed, so you can see the LED lights there and then the full outlet. So the Silverado has a slightly lower towing capacity than the Ford. It's like right around 9,000 pounds, whereas the F-150, you're in that like 10 to 11,000 pound range, depending on the axle ratio and everything that you get, and the engine setup as well that you get. So like if you get the 5.0 or the 3.5, you got a better towing capacity than the 2.7. But yeah, that is another thing that's going for the F-150 is the towing. Anyways, notice the blacked out badges here and then the bumper steps, and then you got the squished exhaust tips. And I guess the last thing I'll mention, the F-150, if you get the EcoBoost when you're towing, your fuel economy is going to drop substantially more than the Silverado with the V8 when you're towing. So just kind of take that into account. And then you can see the door panel here in the back of the XLT, with the padding up above the stitching and then down below. Definitely looks fantastic. And then I love the little map there that they put on the new F-150s. And then here are these seats. So we've got these cloth seats with the XLT. You can see design's pretty nice on the seats. Legroom's great with the Super Crew. You can see headroom is also solid. And got a couple of cup holders, and then got the vents down below, and then a bunch of charging ports as well. And then going from that over to the Silverado, notice we got the new door panel here at the Silverado. So got the nice wood trim there up top, and then you've got the metallic trim down below with the door handle. And notice we got the padding there for the armrest. So they definitely brought things up quite a bit from an interior perspective and the door panel. And also got that double stack design, which I think looks interesting with the armrest situation. And then notice here at the seats again, got cloth seats. And in terms of comfort, you guys are probably wondering, I feel like they're pretty similar. Legroom is also very similar. They both have massive cabs. But yeah, I feel like it's pretty similar. Got the charging outlet there in the back. And notice going from that over to the Ford with the door panel here at the front, it's pretty much the same as what you have in the rear. And so there's nothing that really changes with that with both trucks, I guess. Notice the map right there as well, and then this one has blind spot monitoring. And then here are the front seats again with the cloth. Same as the rear, just a little bit more aggressive with the bolstering. Got your power adjustments, and then the pedal layout down below with the pedal adjustment, parking brake, and then all of your light controls, mirror lights, and then the tailgate drop down. And then notice with the steering wheel, it's manually adjustable in the Ford. And then popping back over to the Silverado, first off, you notice again, like I said, the door panel is pretty much identical. So you've got the wood trim there at the top, and then the silver trim down below. You got door lock and unlock, and then quick look at the mirrors. I don't think these ones had blind spot monitoring, if I remember right. And anyways, got the padding down below, and you can see there with the stitching that goes across, and then all of your window controls, and then the mirror adjustments. And then here are the front seats, same thing as what you had with the Ford, where the seats are pretty much the same as the rear, just a little bit more heavily bolstered, basically. And then you guys saw power adjustments. Got the rubber floor mats, come with the Z71 package. And then notice we got our light controls, and then we've got our drive line select as well with our drive. So drive line select and drive mode select in the same area. And then you can see you've got the parking brake right there. Steering wheel is also manually adjustable. Popping back into the Ford, you can see we've got a cool animation with startup. Definitely fun. Built Ford tough. I think they changed it to Built Ford Proud now, though, so kind of interesting. Anyways, notice here with the padding on the steering wheel and the stitching there in the center. Got all the controls for the center stack. And then you've got our cruise control here with our volume controls, voice command controls, and then you got the turn signal windshield wiper stock there. And I like the design of the steering wheel with the Ford. And I've got half analog, half digital for the gauge cluster. And notice with the RPMs and with the tachometer for the speed, it has a relatively decent look, but it's not like crazy out there like what Ram does with their gauge clusters. But the center screen, I think, looks great. Definitely super user-friendly. And also, notice, no driving range. We also have drive modes with the Ford, so you can see there's a ton of different customization with the drive modes, and it has a cool animation for every single drive mode. I think that's one of the big positives with the Ford, is that it just looks cool with that change. Got the camera button there at the top. That's for your parking sensors, hazard lights, stability control. And notice that you do have a blank switch off to the side. Now this one has the 12-inch display, which is optional on the XLT. Notice the camera pretty much fills up the entire display. And this one has a 360 camera view, so you've got camera angles pretty much out of everywhere on the truck, which is definitely helpful when you're hooking up to a trailer or when you're pulling into a parking space. Because pickup trucks are pretty big, especially if you live in a crowded city. And resolution on the camera is also really solid, so I think that Fords just nail it from that perspective. As for the rest of the 12-inch display, first off, response time's great, and basically what this is Ford's just taken their 8-inch display and then they've added a little bit onto the side there with an auxiliary tab, and that's how you get the 12-inch. So if you like the 8-inch, then you'll like the 12-inch because it's your screen, but just with a little bit more functionality, because you got the split screen there. You can see off to the side that you can go into those little tabs, which I think it's helpful actually, and I think it definitely looks great from an aesthetic perspective. Now going down below, you guys can see the driveline select, drive mode select, and then the locker for the rear, because again it has the FX4 package. And notice with the XLT you don't get 4-wheel auto, and then dual zone climate controls, heated seats as well. And then you can see there with the extra storage space, got the shifter there for the 10-speed automatic transmission, and then notice the manual shift function. And you can see here with the center console, tons of storage space. Got the dual glove box set up. And I love the material used there throughout on the XLT. I think it looks great. Then notice power sliding window. It's another big positive. Darker colored headliner. And then here's the window sticker. Sorry about the glare. It's just the time of day that I filmed this particular video. But this is a pretty loaded up XLT from an option perspective. And see my face more than the window sticker, which is kind of funny. But in terms of total pricing, right, it's like $57,000 and some change roughly with the XLT, so pretty pricey. But popping over to the Silverado, what you'll notice here is full digital gauge cluster with the Silverado. Definitely a nice setup. So here's with the steering wheel. You can see the padding all around and the darker stitching there on the center portion. Voice command phone controls there. Controls for the center stack. Got your heated steering wheel button and then your cruise control as well. And there are radio controls on the back of the steering wheel, if you guys are wondering. And also, there's a quick look at them. Got our windshield wiper turn signal stock, and then you've got the column shift for the 10-speed automatic that does have a manual shift function. And definitely good looking steering wheel. And then here's the digital gauge cluster. I love the font on it, and the fact that you get this full digital gauge cluster on this package, right? Ford makes you go up to like a Lariat or above to get the full digital gauge cluster, so that's cool that Chevy's offer this on lower down packages. Notice less drive modes than the F-150, so they keep things simple. They're like your normal, your sport, or your off-road. There's no in between. Or Ford's like, you got an eco, and you got an ice mode, and you got an off-road mode, and just a lot happening. But usability is pretty much the same, so you can see similar information with this than compared to what you can see with the Ford. So like nothing's really changed from that perspective between both of them, and so you can't go wrong either way, I guess. But like I said, can't get full digital in the XLT from what I know. Backup camera, this one just has the regular camera. It doesn't have the full 360 camera view, and so that is a downside to the RST. And as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time is really solid. And I guess if I were to, I wouldn't really be able to pick a favorite infotainment system. They're both, horizontally opposed, which I really like. And they both have like the side screen there, which shows different menus. I guess the Ford's more integrated into the dash, so that's a plus for the Ford. But notice you got the home screen button right there, which is kind of funny. And then a bunch of analog controls down below the infotainment system. Stuff like lane departure assistance, auto stop, start, tailgate drop down, hazard lights, stability control, and then hill descent control. And then you got some nice wood trim right there. And notice got our engine stop start trailer brake control, and then we've got our dual zone climate with heated seats, so they're both same from that perspective, right? Now this one does have a little bit of a different setup compared to the Ford. The Ford has a center console. This one has the bench seat, as you guys will see here. So that's why there's that space right there, and then you can see there with the storage space within the bench seat configuration, right? Which definitely practical, right? And then notice here with the dual glove box, definitely a nice setup right there. It kind of pops up. It's funny how it is, but it's got stitching there on the outside, which I think looks great. And then you got the bottom portion there of the glove box, and then you can see here with the dash, nicer from a material standpoint. And then popping here to the top, you can see you have a sunroof and no power sliding window, which I thought was very strange indeed. And then you've got the manual mirror dimmer as well. And then here's a window sticker for this RST, so we can see this window sticker quite a bit better than the window sticker on the F-150 Lariat. And you'll notice here with the standard equipment, Chevy lists out everything, which is great if you're a buyer, so you can know exactly what the truck has. And there's the base price. And you notice here with the total price, $56,000. So again, they're very close in pricing between both of the trucks. So I guess fully summing things up, let's kind of go over things. So first off, from an aesthetic perspective with both the trucks, I think it's just going to come to personal preference. I think they both look great with the off-road packages, and they both have good capability, right? Z71 versus, when you do an FX4 package on a Ford, so that's fantastic. From an interior perspective, I'd say that they're both pretty similar. Chevy's, again, stepped up their game, and so both the interiors look really solid. The full digital gauge cluster on the Chevy on this package definitely brings things up with that truck and just kind of makes it a little bit more desirable, in my opinion. They both have great infotainment systems. The Ford having the 360 camera system at a similar price point is kind of a big deal and a big plus, and a power sliding window at a similar price point as well. I don't know why the Silverado doesn't have a power sliding rear window. I think it's a little bit of a downside. And then obviously Ford, higher towing capacity compared to the Silverado, and then payload's pretty similar with both of the trucks. And then from an engine perspective, that is definitely going to come up to personal preference. The Ford has more power and more torque, but twin turbo, so it's a little bit more complex. You can get the 6.2 and the RST, which is a very strong powertrain. I'd pick that over the 3.5 in most circumstances, despite what people say in the comment section below about reliability issues. It's just such a fun engine. So I feel like the 6.2 is more comparable to the 3.5. So yeah, I'll just kind of leave that to you guys to decide which powertrains you like more. But I also still love the 3.5. And so yeah, it'd be a tough choice now to choose between both of the trucks. And so yeah, let me know which one you guys would choose. And that's all.